the Black Friday sale and Moonrise pre-orders, I think I have maybe 6 or 7 plushies coming up.
Oh no. You've been dragged into the feature match. Can you two please
We need
just
to
find
reach.
a good player for the first round?
Hey,
you
looking
got
at you,
MBT.
Mr. Tournament Organizer.
That was a crazy game one, though. I'm very excited to talk about how here we are in game 2, and MBT won with Arcolith in about 10 seconds.
How are you feeling about this match here? It looks like that Arcolith was kind of a key player inside of the first little game, and that's a very punishing card. I love myself some Monk. I really do.
Yeah, it was kind of devastating to see how quickly MBT was able to take it down there. And here we are, picking up this game right here, and it looks like MBT is playing out an Eddie. Gonna go ahead and swap Narpoon to defense position. Think about his options. He's going to be setting some back row here. 3, 4 face down runes and swinging into the Narpoon, taking that Elestral out, and passing back to our other caster.
You know, I'm very surprised if that back row set isn't something to help set the pace and tempo here, because an Eddie is pretty killer on a second go around. But looks like our Frostcaster here is going for an Eddie of their own. See if MBT has a response. Pick up the Spirit deck just so you can see. It's going to be a Poison Tipped Arrow, the beautiful full art Poison Tipped Arrow, by the way. That Eddie effect is going to come through. This is going to be rough, meaning that MBT might not have a strong enough hand to accurately deal with this Eddie, but at least has the ability to remove the Eddie from the field, the extra expend.
I think that MBT is putting his opponent Mihai in a position here where it's sort of a better habit. If Mihai doesn't have Elestrals in hand to really facilitate pushing into this Toxin that MBT has just played, they're going to fall behind very quickly. Now, we can assume that they do have lots of Elestrals in hand because they only have one set back row, but it is potential that depending on the type of Frost variant they're playing here, they could have a lot of cards that they don't want in hand. Maybe they have multiple Keon, maybe they got Blizzard in there that isn't something that they want to be playing right now. MBT is just going to swing for one direct after burning with Toxion and pass back to Mihai, who's going to have to really consider their options here going into what looks like quite a strong board.
Yeah, you don't want to leave this Toxion on the board for too long, and the recursive value of this Toxion really is the star of Thunder in a lot of ways. A base set staple for a lot of reasons, and it's something that really amasses value.
It's a Sluggle. That's a Sluggle right there. We're going to be healing 3 Water Spirits, and this really begs the question, what else is in their hand if they're playing an attack position 2/2 Sluggle into the 4 attack of a Toxion? Potentially, we're expecting a Cryoblast here, would be my assumption, to clear out that board and swing for damage. Yet no. Oh, not even that. It's a Necklace of Harmonia equipping to the Sluggle to make it a 7 attacker. Will force Mihai to burn in the end phase 2 spirits. It's a very strange consideration here. Makes me consider that maybe this is a Frost Water Nexus artifact list, potentially using the power of artifacts and Argo that we've been seeing recently. And unfortunately, Mihai just opened up those artifacts. They were complaining in between of game 1 and game 2 that they were seeing a lot of cards in hand that they weren't really wanting to see. And so potentially they were opening all those artifacts, but that will be met with a Shield of Achilles. Incredible value for MBT, despite the fact that he's returning a Sluggle to hand.
Absolutely. And then again, for MBT here, passing back the turn and drawing, it's got a chance to re-enchant the Toxion and just swing for massive damage. So over time, this Toxion has gotten a lot. Looks like we're going for an expend to draw here, trying to get some value, potentially help fix this hand, which, you know, having to PTA that Eddie might signal that the hand isn't quite strong enough to put on the pressure and potentially to have that tempo loss of re-enchanting this Toxion. Go ahead and just do one extra little poke spirit damage here, a little bit of chip damage off, and that might just be good enough. This Toxion, again, is still posing a threat with its 4/2 body. Cryoblast incoming.
As they're considering what they might go for here, we're going to see what looks like a Cryolink hitting the board, likely going to trigger. Haven't been counting those Frost Spirits, but I would assume a caster would never play a Cryolink unless we were expecting it to go ahead and immediately ascend into a Cryovern. They're picking up their deck. Go ahead and search out that Cryovern to special ascend their Cryolink into, and this is going to put an insane amount of pressure into MBT's board. Being able to misenchant this Cryovern potentially with water, plays around Tsunami, it would force, which is what Mihai is going to do. There's that water enchantment. And MBT is going to have to really consider is it worth it to play out something like a Poison Tipped Arrow or a Shield of Achilles on attack? How much value do they really put on this Toxion here to try and keep it on board, especially depending on what other cards they have in hand?
Absolutely. And again, similar to this Toxion, the recursive value of this Cryoburn is a little more subtle. While it doesn't have, well, it's Misenchanted, of course, here. It doesn't have its proper effects to ascend into a powerful Cryo Scourge. Shout out to Elestrals TCG. But it does have the additional strong body that it's going to be very hard to remove without hard removal. A race to the top here, a deck is an out and option. Maybe MBT is waiting for a Shield of Achilles for the ultimate turn. It's going to be an expend to draw. That's going to be such big value here for Mihai. But an Earthquake comes down. Big Earthquake, trading those 2/2 spirits, and that's exactly what you need to see for MBT. But it resets the board position here to where your counter range are going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting. And honestly, you know, even though Mihai does have an open board, you're looking pretty here. You get a lot of spirit damage and drops
No
down.
way! The Rise from the Ashes coming down.
Rise
That
from the
is-
Ashes for the Cryoburn. That's a 5
That's-
spirit play.
That's such an expensive play. Double Water Enchanted Cryoburn comes
Yo.
down to pressure MBT. He's counting his spirits, making the calculations in his head. How can he potentially deal with it? And then a Sluggle too, man!
No! To recover those spirits from the Rise. That is absolutely the crazy combo play.
MBT's really got to consider his options. You can see he's flipping through his back row, looking at the cards in his hand, doing the numbers, doing the math, doing the Yu-Gi-Oh thing where you tap on the table to choose what you want to do. And the Gorgon's Gaze on the
Down.
Sluggle. It's gonna come down.
You know, I feel like you only are going for that Gorgon's Gaze if you truly are feeling like you have this game in the bag. I mean, one game up in the set is pretty big, so maybe you're comfortable here potentially playing a little bit more risky and just taking the 4 damage total on the turn from the 2 from Gorgon's Gaze. And now this big beefy Cryoburn coming down for a 7 body. MBT's gonna go ahead and draw for turn here. Let's see if there's an answer. A little bit of deliberation from an MBT side here. A very difficult game state. I do not envy this. I think anytime you're a Thundercaster, sit in this position with a big body, you get a lot of consideration.
There's the Stellar Ambrosia gonna hit the board, heal back those spirits. It looks like these casters are both about even on their spirit counts. And this is gonna help MBT really try to stabilize here and get to a point where maybe he can really try to control this game state. As you mentioned, an Ash Trap would be absolutely critical for MBT here, as he's passing. That's it, actually. The turn is Ambrosia Pass, and Mihai hits a Sluggle Part 2. This is the third Sluggle that has hit the board this game. MBT checking his back row, trying to figure out what can he possibly do into this. This Cryoburn is absolutely messing up this board, putting MBT in such a rough position. Mihai sets a second back row, goes to the battle phase and swings for 2 whole damage into MBT, who's going to just take it, nothing to do about it. And he's in an awful position here.
Absolutely. I like the pace control here from Mihai in the second game. Even if you hit over these Sluggles, they've done their job. But here's a Toxin that's going to come down, trying to chip away at those heals that the Sluggles have presented. I don't think there's a response, it looks like, from Mihai. Very glad to take off one of those. But this Toxion's going to have to put in a little bit of work and connect. See what else comes down here. Looks like it's a Zeus. Chancing for 1 here. Never love to see that as a Thundercaster. You want that to be live for your Altar of Stars, or potentially for multiple Zeuses to -3/-3 on these larger Elestrals, and potentially can crash with this Cryoburn, but I do not think that feels good.
No, I think that putting yourself in a position where Toxion crashes with Cryoburn is going to feel very, very difficult. Looking to see potentially a Mount Olympus out of MBT. Looks like he's attacking into a Sluggle, and we're just going to be chaining a Tsunami here, putting the Toxion only to defense position since that Cryoburn is double water enchanted. And I think MBT is going to be feeling not great about the position they're in. There's 2 spirits in their name versus Mihai is looking to be about 3 to 5. And an Atlantis hits the board
coming.
making... Oh,
Wow, this Cryoburn is huge. A 9/6 body? That is
into the
ridiculous.
Rise from the Depths. Rise from the Depths brings back a Sluggle likely here in attack position.
2 versions of Rise. You know, I heard a story about this Rise, with very much inspired from the Rise from the Ashes there, and it's crazy to me that this package, the Atlantis Rise from, We were talking about water earlier in the precast, talking about how can water really show up today, and I think this is a pretty dang good showcase of the power of water on occasion. You got some ice splash in here for a little bit of ice water, but you know that's neither here nor there. The MBT is in a difficult position, I guess is what I should say. Holy.
Yeah, do not envy the position that he is in here. Dratogwa going to heal even more. When I was talking about water coming back and forth, I was not expecting this. We've had 4 Sluggles hit the board of Dratogwa. That's a sum of, doing the math real quick, 14 spirits healed this game, I believe, which is absolutely devastating for MBT here. It looks like a Sluggle is swinging into the defense position, Toxion. And from there, it's likely game. Unless MBT has... No, it looks like he's scooping up from there.
Wow, we're going to a game 3. Already off to an insane start in the first round.
And it looks like we're hopping into game 3. Our casters have shuffled up, cut their decks. Likely that MBT will be going first here. It is his decision to be made. Going to be laying out that hand of 5 cards as we get into this game here. MBT is really looking for a solid opener here to really take control of this game. And Mihai has been known to mulligan a lot. In the first game that we weren't able to show due to tech difficulties, they mulliganed twice. And they're picking up their spirit deck here. Makes me think they might be going for a mulligan to start game 3 here, which could massively put them down. They were in a position... Yep, they chuck out the 2 Stellar Flare Mines with complete disregard, and they're going to be shuffling that hand right back into the deck, starting themselves at 18 to MBT's 20. You know, mulliganing doesn't feel too bad in a Frost deck because there's lots of Frost healing. It also gets your Cryoling in line, which is probably what Mihai particularly cares about. We haven't seen a whole lot of other Frost cards from their deck. But it also doesn't feel great because you still are putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. And frankly, you actually rather be putting water in there because it makes your slug alive much sooner.
Maybe opting only to go for 1 mulligan. I would be surprised, but maybe not too surprised to see a second mulligan come down. I think oftentimes we'll see that, but it looks like we're going off to the races here, and Astrap's going to set the pace. Beautiful Stellar Astrap here, one of my favorite parts of the game. Very strong defensive option here, and let's see if we're going to look at the classic Astrap at set 2 or 3 pass. It's going to be 2. All right, we're going to see Astrap at set 2 pass and go back over to Mihai here. Very strong start from MBT. It's a little bit of slow start, but let's see.
And it looks like Mihai is rocking out a Narpoon to start their turn. We're searching out likely a Cryoling as they're trying to get that online. There it is, hitting the bottom of their board. There are lots of great options for searches on this very strong statted Elestral. A 4 attacker on a search is very strong. We've seen Elichik put up massive numbers because of that stat line, and people playing it just for the fact that is a searcher for divines. It's a 4 stat line.
Absolutely. We've got a set 3 coming in from Mihai and a pass, and a Elichik is coming down to hit the board. This is going to be an important resource gainer if this goes through. I think MBT is looking nice for the pace. It looks like it's okay. Potentially see maybe a shield or a tsunami in the back row there for this Narpoon to eat up one of these Elestrals. A Zeus coming down is going to be a much needed benefit here. I think that last game MBT would love to see that Zeus a lot earlier. Elichik being a very strong Elestral in this position, because not only does it threaten a crash with the Narpoon generally, but even if a poison-tipped arrow were to come down from Mihai, then the Zeus be able to take over and make that differential attack not too big. Looks like we're going to go ahead and boost, or rather reduce the attack of this Narpoon and try to swing in with the Elichik, and it looks like...
No, wait! It's an Argo! That is an Argo that just hit the board!
Wow, man, I love Frost. So let's see what's going to go down on this Argo. It's so interesting. I know early on in Daybreak meta, Argo was tossed out as too expensive or potentially too risky. But it's looking pretty good here, I'm not going to lie to you. And that's beautiful Hollow Argo, too. I love that card inside of the set. That's gorgeous. Necklace of Harmonia, a very common choice we've been seeing inside the meta pop up here. I would love to see some of the elemental artifact runes come down, but Necklace of Harmonia, not too bad. That's going to boost that thing up to a nice big, what would that be, 6 attack?
Yes, it goes up to a 9 and then down to a 6 with the Zeus.
That's incredible.
Huge.
Holy. Huge arms of Narpoon.
And the really important thing I think to note here is that Argo is seen to be very expensive. However, for a deck like a Cryoburn deck, we want it to be expensive. We want those Frost spirits in the Underworld. And so likely Mihai has been counting those spirits going to the Underworld, and boom, they know they know that Cryoling's live next turn. They mulligan for 2 Frost. There's 2 more in the Underworld right here. I believe there's 1 more potentially in there from other cards they've used. And that's Cryling. That's live right there. There is a consideration here for a Frigicub or a Brummelings. Because typically these Argo decks want to be Nexusing off the Necklace of Harmonia as soon as possible, prevent themselves from taking that burn damage, while still maintaining the spirits on board. So it's very possible that we see Brummelings here to try and set that Zeus to field, making MBT go -1 on spirits on board. And it looks like a defense position Narpoon is actually what we're going to be seeing.
Play around it all you want.
Here.
Play around it all you want. Arculus coming down eventually. You can never escape it. It's coming down.
Be like, I have my whole life ahead of me. No, you don't.
No, you don't. I like the play. You know, Narpoon is a pretty decent offensive tool, especially the one with the 9 attack. But I think that here it's very smart and heads up to try to play around Arculith. We do know that in the previous game, we can kind of assume based off of maybe MBT's play of having to go for Toxion or potentially trying to out the Eddy that the Arculith and maybe burning a hole in the hand. You know, as a powerful 2-drop Celestial, some of the balance there is definitely going to be in its cost. Looks like we have Gorgon's Gaze coming down to stop the attack from the Narpoon trying to grab it. I feel like that, again, that's a very nice trade if you're Mihai. You rather take and chew out that back row before that Cryoling comes down as an offensive threat. I do like that quite a bit.
It doesn't feel too bad for MBT either, though, because they're going net neutral on Spirit advantage. Because Mihai is going to have to expend here, and he gets to keep that Ass Rabbit, which potentially is something that will enable him to go ahead and go to an Arculith or something like that on the next turn.
Yeah,
keeping
absolutely.
That 5-stat body is massive for him.
Yeah, and absolutely. I think that's something that Thunder can easily take advantage of. All roads come back to Lestrade Season 2. Shoutouts to my Imperiwats. Toxion coming down from MBT side. I love Toxion in this position, honestly. It seems a little bit scary, but trying to put on a little more spirit pressure and give an offensive body that can potentially threaten this Narpoon. But an Earthquake's gonna come down, take out that 9 attack Narpoon. Tectar is coming in hard. It looks like that was honestly pretty costly with a 2 burn from the Necklace of Harmonia. And then as well, this Necklace going down plus the Argo, that's a fairly expensive turn, but getting the Gorgon's Gaze and an Earthquake out of that, it's not a bad trade. But this Narpoon that's in defense is now prime food for this Scorpion. Let's see if the Scorpion stings.
I think that Mihai feels pretty bad about shielding here. Tsunami, though, we never feel bad about. It's an incredible card to see here. Putting that Toxion to defense. Toxion got a very weak little booty, not going to the gym very frequently. And so be able to hit over that, Narpoon gets over it. We don't feel too bad about it. We can play another Elestral here, like a Cryo Link to Cryo Vern to get over the Ass Rabbit. And in that case, we don't feel too bad, likely, about an Arculith coming down. But it looks like an Eddy is going to be coming out here, possibly to be changing that Ass Rabbit to attack position. We'll see if MBT has a response. A Poison Tipped Arrow might be worth consideration, but it looks like he's just going to let it go right away. No response from him. We'll see if Mihai has any additional back row. It looks like they're just going to go swinging, taking out the Ass Rabbit, and Narpoon looking to take out the Toxion, and MBT will just let that go through. And Mihai, just like that, has cleared the board.
Caleb, what you see is a clear board, but what I see is the biggest food for the Arculith, the Stellar Arculith coming down from MBT. I knew it was there. There was no way you would let those two go through. If not for my beautiful, beautiful boy. Look at those strong arms and the effect to reenchant. This has to be a Gorgon's Gaze in the back. Anything else will be detrimental. Even a Tsunami doesn't feel great. But that, wow, a Stellar Arculith as well. Incredible
pickup. Incredible pickup from Shattered Stars, Scorpio month. Gonna go ahead and enchant 3 to Zeus. He's not putting it on the Arculith. Ooh. The Arculith isn't going to the gym. Zeus is the one going to the gym.
Zeus is doing the lifting. Okay. Opting not to have the spirit damage here, which potentially is a good play to retain those spirits on the board, just in case this is a Shield of Achilles.
If that set is an Argo, that would be absolutely devastating. The question is if MBT is considering that and is going to Zeus down one of the Elestrals here to try and play around it. It is unlikely that Mihai will be running multiple Necklace of Harmonia, and MBT would know this. So that means that there really isn't much that Mihai can do to get around this. Going for a second Zeus here is a very interesting option. Gonna go ahead and potentially Zeus a second Elestral for a Cryoblast! Very interesting.
You know, we were just saying that maybe Cryoblast was taken out as a consideration for this game 3, but That's going to help clear the board a little bit, and an Arcolith is going to swing on and clear the board. Mihai might not have an Arcolith of their own to contest the big, strong arms. Wow, this is such good back and forth here from these two casters. You know, I feel like inside of game one being over relatively quick, in that second game, looks like MBT might not have had the luck of the draw, but wow, this could be anyone's game right here. This Arcolith might not be long for this world. If there's a Laurels, if there's an Earthquake, I think we're still potentially seeing that an Argo could come down. But the one back row from MBT, killer. Let's see what we drop here.
The Kryling gonna hit the board, gonna trigger to immediately ascend. MBT says that's good, no response. Gonna have probably, as it has been, the Water Vern hitting the board, pressuring that Arcolith, who is only a measly 6 attacker,
So
to the
small.
massive Giga Chad 7 attacker Cryovern. So MBT gotta have live back row right there.
That's the crazy part here. Poison
I
Stare is
think-
going to come down
Whoa!
from MBT. This might just do it. It looks like those big arms are down to a
Cannon
5.
clutch?
That's absolutely crazy. We see a response here from Mihai. I think there has to be one here coming down, or else MBT is more than happy to spend those extra 2 spirits to get rid of this abomination.
There's little I think Mihai can do. I'm trying to consider. It would likely have to be an artifact that's going to make Cryovern buffed up again. It feels really bad though, because that would be a 2 cost to be able to do it. But Rise is going to come down off of the Cryovern.
There is
We're bringing
no
back. We're
way.
gonna bring back the Kryling and go for a second one. That
Us.
is insane. An incredibly heads-up play from Mihai here. Kryling going to immediately trigger. That Arcolith is going down. It's a
This-
battle between
This
the Thunder.
is crazy.
Frost.
I cannot
can't
believe it. This is absolutely wild. From the Arcolith to the clear board to an Argolith, from an Argo to a Rise. You know, we saw Rise put in some work inside of that game too, and I'm absolutely stoked to see that we get to see the some insane risk here, by the way, too, because only 4 spirits left. You got to hope that this Hail Mary of a play will work out on the next turn.
Do you notice what I just saw?
Oh,
That is
goodness.
a properly enchanted Cryovern.
Wait a
It has
minute.
2 spirits that are frost. This
All in.
is very possibly an
All in.
actual Cryo Scorch play coming out from MBT. Is Mihai actually running it? Are we going to actually see it?
There's no way. There's no way. Okay, and Eddie! Oh,
Eddie!
this will make Swift
This is
work.
devastating.
Wait,
This
one
is
back row.
devastating.
One back row has to be big. Zeus coming down, decrease the defense. Eddie swinging in.
8
Cavern goes
connects.
down. It goes down.
No, the
4 spirits
risky
left.
play.
4 spirits, no counter runes. We've definitely seen potentially a Cryoblast could be huge here as well. A Sluggle to get back into this game. There's plenty of heal options here. I think that Mihai's not out yet despite 4 spirits left. Wow, I was going to be so excited. If that was a Cryo Scorch coming down, I would have just lost it right immediately. Butagua, okay.
And
Hold
that's
on for
that's
dear
because
life.
that's 0 spirits. We're a little off with our count here. It looks like that was the last spirit in Mihai's spirit deck playing their Chautauqua. We are at 2 total water spirits in deck.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, this Zeus is gonna make quick work of this Chicago, but you gotta do what you gotta do. In game 3, it comes down to the absolute wire. See a Lunar Spirit come down. Instead, a Specteris, the Shattered Stars. Stained Glass Specteris. Quite beautiful card. I love that one. Wow.
It's a gorgeous card. Gonna be able to clear over this
Without
Chautauqua
wasting the
without
Zeus.
even using the Zeus. It's
That's-
incredible.
That's insane. And then there's no response that feels good here from Mihai. 2 spirits is not enough to shield to Gorgon's Gaze. No amount of counter rune here will save you from the dark Viscerus themselves, Specteris.
And incredibly heads up from MBT to declare Specteris' effect. It is an act. You have to activate the effect. And it
Yes.
looks like Mihai is just going to scoop from there. Understandably so. Very difficult position to put in. Incredibly well played from them, though. They kept it competitive all the way through. And that Cryovern into Kryling into Cryovern. Oh, that was an incredible play from Mihai. Unfortunately, not enough to secure them the game against MBT here. We'll take it 2-1.
You know, it's about a nice and cool 40 degrees here where I'm at casting, and we've really turned up the heat. I will say that. This is the irony of the Frost deck turning up the heat here. Holy, that was some good place to commentate. And here we were for a little while saying, oh no, don't pick me to watch. Shows you MBT.